Ladies, how are you feeling?
Hi.
Feeling good?
Happy
Feeling
Monday,
great?
everybody.
All right, ladies, let's do this. Let's get into some girl chat. First up, Colin Kaepernick recently decided to take action in order to highlight an extremely important issue. Colin started the Know Your Rights Camp COVID-19 Relief Fund to directly impact the disproportionate effect coronavirus is having on our communities. According to Colin, structural racism makes Blacks and brown people more likely to die from COVID-19. So you guys, the money raised will go toward buying food and face protection, masks and all that good stuff, to distribute in communities. It'll help to pay essential living costs for those who can't afford and provide information to Black and brown communities to keep them in the loop of what's going on with the pandemic. Also, the fund, which I know that, Amanda, you're going to really appreciate this. The fund will also work to get prisoners out of jail and into a safer environment, which I've been seeing on your Instagram lately. You've been concerned about folks that are in prison and keeping them safe. And just, ladies, what do you think about Colin's fund in general?
I think it's great. I think that what he's doing is something that a lot of people should be doing, and a lot of companies are starting to do this. As a matter of fact, Toyota Corporation is actually starting a fund, because you got to remember, these corporations have multicultural areas, and Toyota is actually starting a fund of $1 million that they're going to give to certain organizations for specifically teaching Black and brown communities more about the COVID-19 crisis. So they're going to give this money to like the Salvation Army, United Way. So I think that this is just the start of what you can see, because we have to get the messages out to our Black and brown communities about the effects of COVID-19.
And I'm happy that the doctor who is basically, well, he's been the front running doctor during this pandemic, Dr. Fauci, I hope I'm saying his name right. He talked about this weeks ago, and I'm happy he decided to tell the country and make people aware of this issue and not put it underneath the rug. So I'm happy that this doctor, who is very prominent and well known, said something like this.
Yeah, it's like, as much as I'm glad that, and I agree with you, Tams, I'm glad that they vocalized this.
Yeah,
I feel like it's also had this frustrating, what seems like an adverse effect, where it's made people who don't align themselves with our communities feel like, oh, well, if it's only affecting them, then why can't we just be let out of quarantine? Like, it just seems like there's this trigger effect that happened when the color of COVID became Black and brown communities, that there's individuals in this country who feel like, well, if I'm not a part of that community, like, let me out. And I just wish there was more of a thought process of looking at us as an American community and the ways in which we can all help each other and protect each other.
Unity, absolutely. We're all in this together.
Yeah, I thought it was incredibly, obviously gracious, because we're in such uncertain times. So it's necessary that we give the people the help that they need. And at the same time, how does one get back up? How does one, you know what I mean? Like it just makes you feel like this cycle that will never end. And now it puts people back in further.
But Jeannie, this is the reason why we have, I call our foot soldiers. We have the Angela Rise, the Amanda, what that girl name right next to me? That one right
next to you. I was like, there's another Amanda out here. Where's she at?
We have the filler mics, because they, to be vocal. But then also, what I believe is, I believe in working with brands that want to give back. So there are a lot of corporations that have a lot of money right now. And I was reading an article in the Los Angeles Times that's saying right now philanthropy is at an all-time high. So there's a lot of money that's going to go around. And we have to make sure that the Black and brown communities that are so heavily affected are going to get some of that money to help them rebuild, to help them educate, to help them protect themselves. But the only way that happens is if we're vocal about it. And if we say, hey, that money has to come to us too, and to our communities to help our people. For me, that's what I see as a way of a solution.
Yeah. Lonnie, that's advocacy. We advocate for things that matter to us, right? Like, we advocate for our families, we advocate for our communities. I mean, then we advocate for our sports teams. Like, that's advocacy. You know, you're speaking on behalf of the wellness of things that matter to you. So, you know, I know a lot of people are confused about why is Amanda always talking about Black folks? Because Blackness and the Black community matters to me dearly.
Yeah.
So I'm always advocating because, as we can see in this situation, there just simply isn't a lot of care put top of mind for what's going on in our community. So if I'm going to be on a platform talking to millions of people, I'm going to always advocate as much as I can. And I think it's fabulous that, like, Tam advocates for motherhood. You know, we all, like, I mean, Adrienne advocates for Latinas. Me and Lonnie advocate for Black folks all the time. Jeannie advocates for Asians. We all advocate for different mental health and different issues and lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a time when, Jeannie, when you say, like, how does this cycle end? It's really that our communities have to advocate within each other as well. And, like, our viewership has so many Black and brown people that simply don't realize how important it is for us to advocate for ourselves and our community, and for us to look to not just our community when I say ourselves, but our individual selves, and really working on how do we elevate as our individual selves, because that ends up dispersing, as Tam always says, as love.
But you know what? This is the thing, though, because you remember about a month ago when I got emotional, when I was talking about my eating habits, and it got displayed as I said, all Black women don't know how to eat. And I'm like, that was not it. That was not the message. And sometimes, you know, especially on this show, we're having conversations that nobody else gives a damn about. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. And sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But the things that we talk about are hitting people in certain ways. I applaud you, ladies, and I want to give an applause, because you guys talk about things that affect you, and we're advocates, and sometimes it's painful, sometimes it might be slightly embarrassing, but we're never saying anything on this show to make people feel bad. We're trying to either start a conversation, educate, inform, and we like to entertain too. But we have to, you know, like you said, Amanda, advocacy is the key, but we have to be the forefront of it. And these corporations, you're going to see, because there are over 22 million people that's unemployed. These corporations are going to have to give back to our communities, and it's up to us to make sure. And you know how you do that? You go and vote. You send a tweet out to your elected officials. If you can send a tweet out to Drake and Beyonce, send a tweet out to your elected official and say, I need help. Okay, and you need to fix it. So that's what we have to do. And that's what I see Jeannie for me as part of a solution. And we have to keep working with people that actually care and have the voices to speak out to the communities. That's this show. That's people like the Angela Rise, the Charlemagnes, the Amandas, the Killer Mikes. That's what in my opinion, that's what we have to do. And I'm gonna give myself another hand clap.
Give yourself an applause.
Today. Yeah, that was great.
I'm gonna add to that.
I'd also like you to give yourself another applause for your bun, because this looks
it is
like,
stunning.
I mean, the sculpture art here is impeccable.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, you guys. Well, another group of people currently being affected by the virus are high school seniors. Many schools across the country are still trying to figure out the best way to honor their departing students by not completely canceling their proms and graduations. If you hear my daughter in the background,
right.
With her Doc McStuffins, she is having a blast right now, you guys. Suggestions to continue celebrations include Zoom graduations, student-only ceremonies, or just postponing them altogether. So, ladies, I know, and you have to think of all the hard, I know when I graduated from high school, you know, you're like, oh, I can't wait just to walk across that stage. You know, it's a huge honor. So what do you ladies think the best course of action is with this situation?
I'm the worst to speak on this because I have such a jaded perspective, because I never had a high school graduation.
You didn't?
You know, no, I was homeschooled for my last 2 years of high school. So I don't even have a photo or anything, huh?
But do they send you a diploma, or not?
I think they sent it to my mom. I actually don't know if I've ever seen it, but I know I got straight A's and I graduated early. And
so wait,
But
we need to give you a graduation ceremony, right?
I've never had one.
Like,
I don't have a photo, a high school cap and gown. I don't have any of it.
Literally do it on the show and have you graduate on the show.
And the graduation wave. And you need a speech, Adrienne. You have to have a cool speech about like how much you've been through and how much you've learned and how much you appreciate your education.
What the heck? That sounds a little intimidating. So there's going to be a lot of kids that are going to be like me. Yeah, I need to throw it in the air. Like, the end of Hillman, like on A Different World when they...
Your cap?
I didn't have that moment, no. So it's hard for me.
Did it affect you? Like, I'm curious, like...
I don't know.
Because you were doing...
But she wouldn't know. She wouldn't know what she's missing out on. Wait, Adrienne, did you go to prom?
I did go to prom with someone else, though. And I went when I was a freshman with the senior because I was dating a senior.
Okay.
Shout out to Victor.
Of course.
Well, I've been coming out in your gown, having a corsage.
Is just a tad bit different. It maybe not different, but you are actually.
I missed out
something that you've always wanted to do. You were actually entertaining. You were in movies. You were singing, right? So did that affect your response?
This is my thing. I think that's actually a dumb reason. Being a singer or being on tour, to me, is a dumb reason to miss your high school graduation. I actually think a global pandemic is a very good reason to miss your high school graduation. And you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So like,
my friend.
Like, the world, people are dying. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I was like, I missed my high school graduation because I was on tour.
Well, you know what? There was
versus a global pandemic. That's a real reason.
There was a suggestion by a high school. Hold on. There was a suggestion by a high school senior. His name was Lincoln Debenham at Eagle Rock High School. He tweeted out to Barack Obama and says that most likely high school, college seniors, he's saddened by the loss of the milestone events. So he was asking him to give a national commencement speech to the class of 2020. So that would be nice. Obama hasn't given a commencement speech since he's been out of office as the president. So that could be an alternative. But I just think that, we have to think differently in these times. I think there's going to be a lot of subjects that we're thinking about, a lot of things that life is going to change for us. And we all have to understand that and realize that. And we have to also find a way.
There's some sacrifices we're going to have to make.
Yes. But I'm a firm believer that life should not stop during this crisis. I really think that in your own virtual way, you've got to figure out how to celebrate the moments that matter to you. If prom didn't matter to you, then pass it on. But if it does, then there's a way that you can do it virtually with your friends and use technology to try.
Yeah. If you got to walk in your kitchen, if you got to do your own graduation ceremony in your kitchen, and I think that's like families, just like creating that for each other. And, like I do these shout outs on Cameo, and it's so dope to have like people will be like, yo, my friend is really bummed about not graduating, can you send her a message? And so it's like people are thinking about these things for each other. But to Adrienne's point, like it's so much bigger than everything else. Like I had so many big plans and things that I was about to do that I was like, it's about to turn up. And I had to just let it go. As the Christians say, I had to just give it up to God. As I say, I had to give it to the universe and just have peace with like my main focus right now is to be thankful for my health and my family's health and to pray for those who haven't been as fortunate as mine. And I think for our teenagers, it's really a time to try and instill that in them in this moment.
And it really is.
Yeah, and be able to empathize like, this sucks. It really does. But we also have to understand on a bigger level just the immensity of what's going on.